The drama surrounding the Indiana Fever last season wasn't about wins or losses. It wasn't even about basketball, not really. It was about perception. The biggest misconception surrounding the team wasn't whether they could compete. It was whether they could coexist. From the outside looking in, fans and critics alike swore the Fever were a fractured team, riddled with locker room beef, clashing egos, and icy stares between players. The spotlight was unforgiving, and the noise was relentless. But when Aaliyah Boston sat down for a brand new interview on Sue Bird's Bird's Eye View podcast, she set the record straight in a way that was raw, honest, and surprisingly hilarious. And in doing so, she delivered what can only be described as a massive in-your-face moment to Sheryl Swoopes, who had once fanned the flames of those very same rumors. Boston didn't duck the questions. She didn't hide behind cliches. Instead, she leaned in with the kind of refreshing honesty that makes you realize why she's become one of the most respected voices in the league. It all started with Caitlin Clark, because long before they became teammates, Boston and Clark were rivals. The moment etched in both of their memories came in the 2023 Final Four, when Caitlin Clark torched South Carolina for 40 points. Aliyah Boston, then the defensive anchor for the Gamecocks, was left with a performance burned into her mind. So when Clark was drafted to Indiana, Boston had to get something off her chest. She recalled that first conversation with a grin. "I was like, Caitlin, listen, I'm really upset that you did what you did in that Final Four game. You didn't have to go for 40 on our dome like that. We could have had fun. But no, you had to do the most. It wasn't bitterness. It wasn't shade. It was honesty laced with humor. And what could have been an awkward tension instead became a bonding moment. Both women laughed, and in that laughter, the walls came down. The rivalry dissolved. What replaced it was respect, and then came chemistry. From the very start, Boston understood Caitlin Clark's gift wasn't just scoring, it was vision. "Her passing is crazy," Boston said. "Her angles, the way she sees the floor, it's like she's always one step ahead. I just watch her eyes. Once I see where she's looking, I know exactly where to go. She doesn't even need to say anything. That kind of synergy can't be manufactured. It isn't about playbooks or practice drills. It's instinct. It's trust." And soon enough, the pick and roll between Boston and Clark became one of the most dangerous weapons in the WNBA. Defenses didn't know how to stop it. Go under the screen and Caitlin would bury a three. Step up and Boston was already rolling to the rim. Their connection was as natural as it was lethal. But with Clark came something else. The spotlight. Suddenly, the Fever weren't just a team, they were a spectacle. Every move was magnified. Every gesture scrutinized. Every missed shot turned into proof of dysfunction. Boston saw it all. She saw how quickly narratives formed online. She saw strangers playing body language detectives, convinced they could interpret every eye roll, every slump of the shoulders, every silence during a timeout. And she had one reaction. She logged off. Because while the world saw drama, Boston saw something else. Growth. Adjustment. The hard work of building chemistry in real time while the world demanded instant perfection. And she wasn't about to let trolls tell her otherwise. "I already put so much pressure on myself," she admitted. "So when strangers are in my mentions saying, 'You're the worst post player I've ever seen,' I was like, you know what? Hear me out, I'm logging off." And yet through it all, she never blamed Caitlin Clark. In fact, she praised her. Boston understood better than most that Clark's presence was a blessing, not a burden. The Caitlin Clark effect, as she called it, was undeniable. Fans packed arenas. Millions tuned in. The league had never seen this kind of attention. And while some players might have resented that spotlight, Boston embraced it. Fans might come in for Caitlin, she explained. But then they look around and say, dang, that Boston girl can hoop too. That's how it works. That's how the league grows, but not everyone agreed. Critics like Sheryl Swoopes fanned the flames of speculation, suggesting that players didn't even want to be in Indiana, hinting that the locker room was fractured beyond repair. Boston's response? A laugh. She remembered one particular game day when she woke up from a nap, checked her phone, and saw social media in chaos. "They hate each other. They hate each other!" the headlines screamed. She walked into the locker room, looked at Caitlin, and simply asked, "Girl, you good?" Caitlin nodded. That was it. That was the so-called feud. There was so much locker room talk, Boston said. People saying, "Oh my gosh, her body language, she hates this squad." And I'm just like, what are y'all even talking about? Sometimes you just have a bad game. It's not that you hate your team, it's that you're human. And then she delivered the mic drop moment. If we want you to see something, you'll see it. If not, you'll never know. Because that's none of your business. Our priority is winning. That's how Aaliyah Boston destroyed Sheryl Swoopes' narrative without even trying. Not with anger, not with hostility, but with calm, clarity, and undeniable truth. The truth that the Fever are not fractured. The truth that Clark and Boston are not rivals but partners. And the truth that winning has always been the only thing that matters. The Fever proved it in 2024 when they clawed their way into the playoffs. Yes, they lost to Connecticut, but Boston walked away with fire in her eyes. Game 1 got away from them. Game 2, they were right there. It wasn't talent that separated them from the sun, it was experience. The vets knew exactly what to do, Boston admitted. They knew how to close. We were right there, but they had that edge. That edge has become the Fever's obsession. The loss wasn't a setback, it was a lesson. A taste of what they could be if they sharpened their focus and tightened their chemistry. This season, the expectations flipped. No longer the hunters, the Fever became the hunted. Free agency brought reinforcements. Coaching changes set a new tone. And with Clark at the center of it all, the Fever were suddenly expected to win now. Boston didn't shy away from that pressure. She embraced it. We're not sneaking up on anyone anymore, she said. And that's exactly where we want to be. But then came the injuries. The cruel reality of sports. Most painfully, Caitlin Clark went down. Losing her wasn't just losing a player, it was losing a system. When Caitlin's on the floor, you have to be ready to run, Boston explained. She wants to play fast, she wants to push, she's looking for you early. Without her, the pace slows. We get into more half-court sets, we grind. It's just different but not broken. In fact, Boston believes it's made the Fever stronger. They've had to adapt. They've had to learn to win in multiple ways, and they've leaned on veterans like Natasha Howard, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, and Sydney Colson to keep the ship steady. Boston lit up when talking about Colson. Everyone thinks Sid's just the funny one, she said. But she's the best locker room presence you could ask for. She knows exactly when to joke, when to pull you aside, when to remind you you're good. She's saved me more than once. That's leadership. That's resilience. And that's why this team refuses to break. Now in 2025, the Fever find themselves in the thick of the semifinals, battling the Las Vegas Aces with 6 players nursing injuries. On paper, the odds are stacked against them. In reality, they're very much alive. Because for Aliyah Boston, adversity doesn't break you, it forges you. Through it all, Boston has remained the anchor, the steady hand, the voice of calm in chaos. And alongside Caitlin Clark, she's building something real in Indiana. Not a soap opera, not a headline, but a contender. So to all the critics, to all the internet detectives, to all the pundits who thought they had it figured out, maybe next time, sit this one out. Because what's happening in Indiana isn't dysfunction, it's dominance. The Indiana Fever are here. They're for real. And they're not done yet. Comment A, B, and CC if you're riding with Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on all notifications, because the Fever story is just getting started, and you won't want to miss what happens next.